Welcome everyone to July Power Hour. It's great to see all of you that joined us live and those of you finding on us on YouTube later. We appreciate you, and we do go back and read the comments that you leave there, at least I do. So welcome to all of you. We're going to create two handouts, two layouts tonight. So if you're new, let us know. It seems like we do get a few new people every month that find us and sometimes show up live. But I'm Tessa. I live in Indiana. Joined by Megan, who's out in Phoenix. I was able to fly out there a couple of weeks ago and attend a retreat with her. And I do love the desert. I love the dry air. Um, it is true. Dry air is better than humidity. Because then I came home and went to New York last week where it's like 94 and humid. And like I'd rather be 110 any day of the week without the humidity. It's just horrible. You're wet the whole time. But we are here tonight to do our layouts. And so we will start with mine. So we're going to flip down my table. If you have your handouts, print them. Sometimes we do make mistakes. We'll try to catch them as we go. I'm going to flip this down my table and might have to Zoom, yeah, it always seems to back itself up when I go live. Gets us zoomed in a little bit. I will think it's ready. I don't know why Zoom has changed. It used to keep the center focus and then it all changed. So the layout I started with, so when I was in Phoenix with Megan, I was working on some pages for prom, and I created this layout, and it's one of my favorite. I mean, I love them all, and eventually I'll record the pages so you guys can see the whole spread. But it's a pretty basic cut. It's just 4 pieces of paper, one of them cut with an edge. But I love the effect of the colors, and it just really highlighted the photos. And it's pretty simple. You guys know I love simple layouts. So I decided tonight I would recreate it with Legacy of Love. I had not played with Legacy of Love yet. I know a lot of you have. It's a beautiful collection. I don't know what pictures I'm going to put on here yet, although I am thinking that they would work well for some of the New York pictures from the trip I just took last week. So here you can see the layout that I did show on the handout. So it's the same cuts, different punches. I really love this one too. And if you have paper that has a little bit more texture design to it, I don't know how well you guys can see this. So the lined paper in here on Legacy of Love, it had like the little butterfly. It had some embossing in there. And that's why it's not really true embossing, it's just printed on there. But that's why I end up spreading my pictures out over here. And then down here, I wanted to see it a little bit on the papers. But in the end, you get a layout that basically you can put your photos wherever you want. There's room for a lot of photos and the opportunity to enhance it a little bit around your photos. So I used brown shimmer for my mats. And then I filled in a little bit of border punching. This is an elegant diamond. I wanted to use geometric gems and I couldn't find it to save my life, but elegant diamond works well. I did sunshine arches on the side and then filled in with some embellishments. So tonight I am going to work with some pictures from a skating party. Those of you that do our challenges usually see my family skate party pictures and winter frolic, but tonight I am going to work on them, and I thought I would use the paper from the 1940s and 50s through the years pack. So it's a pack of paper that Creative Memories gave us that one side's supposed to be for the 40s, one side's supposed to be for the 50s. I've mixed up enough in here to get enough color. So you need 4 pieces of paper. I suggest one of them have a little bit of excitement to it. The other ones you probably want to keep fairly tone on tone or kind of neutral so they don't dominate the layout as a whole. I liked the papers in this pack because all of them have a design to them, but it is truly, I consider this true tone on tone when it's really color on color, not white in color, because they don't stand out very much. And then this can be my little accent paper in here. So of that pack, these were both front and back. So this navy side was supposed to be for their 40s. And same with the red side, because the back side, I think, is the 50s was the, it's not a plaid, the checkerboard. I didn't want to use that. And then I have this Island Waters print. The back side has this print that went with the 40s. So I thought these 4 worked pretty well. And then you'll want a sheet of cardstock or something to use for your base. I did go with Classic Cream. It is the color recommended with the pack, but I know I'll get a good contrast. when you think about your pieces, one of them will have to be the big piece, the 5.5-inch piece that we're going to punch. And then when you punch your design, you want to make sure you have a high contrast on the underneath it. So I know if I'm going to punch the navy one, it's going to pop against my cream. If you punch a print, sometimes you kind of lose a print in the punch. And if you don't have a lot of contrast, you might not see the design of the punch. So these are the papers I'm going to use. As I was thinking through punches and I went through, it's like, okay, what kind of gives me the roller skating vibe? I, of course, thought about this pack because I thought it would have roller skates in it, and it did come through. It does have roller skates, which is why I'm going to use this one. I've twirled my carousel. How many of you just go to your carousel and twirl your BMCs when you're trying to find something fun? Jenny, I see both of yours behind you. All those punches, I know. So I found two. One's a rainbow. It's an old one, the rainbow. This one was, it's not Dazzle. Dazzle was the one we had with CM. It's a starry one from Our Memories for Life. It's not Starry Night, Star Party maybe. Or I thought I could use a border punch. I don't know if I've ever used on a layout actually, is Rainbow Ripple. I thought that would pop well on the edge over here. So I think in the end, I'm going to go with Rainbow Ripple because I don't think I've actually ever used it. So it can be a BMC, it can be a border punch. If you use a border punch, you're just going to get a wider footprint. It's going to take away from some of the spacing for photos, but you still have plenty of space. So you will need your trimmer. And we need to cut all 4 of these papers. So when you when you cut them, you're going to have 4 widths. We're going to have a 3/4 inch, not 3/4, 5/8 is what I ended up doing at the end. 5/8, 1 1/4, 4 1/2, and 5 1/2. So you can look at your papers that you choose and determine, you know, how much of each one do you want to see. I know this wavy print here is the one I want to see the least of. So I want this one to be 5/8. I am going to actually do a 2-page layout tonight. I'm not sure in the course of 12 months, how many 2-page layouts does Tessa do? Not that many. I'm the queen of 1-pagers. But tonight I have enough photos, so I'm going to do 2. I'm going to double all my cuts. And then this navy is actually the back side of this paper. And I want 5 1/2 to 5 1/2 inch pieces from this one. And this one is just slightly short, but I'm going to go with it anyways. It just means I'm going to have a little bit more spacing, but it'll be fine. And that gives me all 4 pieces from one sheet. So if you are using one sheet of paper, you might go more like 5 1/4 to get all the pieces out of there. Then I think I probably want to do, I'm thinking about the spacing here. So the blue will be on the outside. Do I want the red in between them? Or this Island Waters color? Or if I do the red, the short piece, it would look like this. I feel like that red's really going to stand out on the edge. I think I might put it in the middle because I'm going to cover more of it up with the mats. So I want my 1 1/4 inch pieces to come from this Island Waters print. And then my last piece is the red. And this will be 4 1/2 inches each, 4 1/2. So then once you have your pieces, you know, you can lay them out in order, make sure you're happy with your choices. If you're not happy with your choices, you want to do it before you punch anything. I think I'm fine with it. We'll do it and see. So I'm going to punch the navy pieces with the border punch. If you did use a directional piece of paper, you will want to make sure that, and depending on the design of your paper, you might have to think about how you punch. If I go down this side, so say you decide to use something like animal tracks, where it's more of a knockout, but my tracks, if I punch the blue side up on both, they're going to go down one side and up on the other. So if you use a punch that's going to change the direction of the way it looks, you'll want to punch from the back of your paper so that it kind of gives you that mirror image design of it. My rainbow ripples, I don't think is going to look any different. Punch both of these. Megan made fun of me in the chat, of course, saying that there's no tourists that walk the streets at 110 degrees. I'm not sure there was a lot of tourists either in New York, except at Times Square. There's always a ton of people there. But then the locals are out there walking the streets. I would have walked the streets at 110.
Really? I don't think you'd be walking like that much.
94 and humid is miserable, and
Oh,
I
no,
handled it.
I'm not saying that. I agree. You messaged me and said next time you go to New York City, you're going to do it at fall break. So you
Yes.
admitted that July is not the time to go to New York City. July in general is not the time to go to any place that you have to spend a lot of time outdoors unless you're going to like Canada or the Pacific parts of the Pacific Northwest.
I don't
It's
argue
just
that. I mean, I did go to Death Valley in July, but we just didn't hike, but I was outside. We did walk around.
yeah, but you're not going to spend all day walking around outside. It's like when you
Yeah.
go to Vegas. In Vegas, you do a lot of walking in Vegas. And of course, the casinos, they want you in the casino, right? That's where they distract you. But if you go outside and start walking from place to place, you definitely, it catches up with you real quick. And you're hot and you're sweating, you're sticky. I mean, 105, 110 or whatever, it's just hot. I mean, I agree with you that humid is worse than hot. To me, that was the big thing about, when you vacation places that we always go north, like north, like Canada.
Yeah. I mean, I have vacations a lot of places in July, but they're usually out west where it's not humid, and it's just such a better experience.
Yes. I've been back to the Midwest. You got to go pretty north in the Midwest to get any reprieve and just hope that it's not. And the one thing to remember too about people who talk about the summer in Phoenix, it's relentless.
Yeah, there's no break.
Relentless.
Yeah.
So there's no break from it. So I know in the Midwest, I look at the 10-day forecast. My parents live in Iowa. And you have the days that are terrible, absolutely, absolutely terrible. But then you have a couple days reprieve where you're going to have some highs in the 80s and the humidity is still there for sure. But you don't quite have as intense. Whereas here, we in the Southwest, you get, or even like the South, where they have the heat and humidity. It's relentless. It is just relentless.
It's true. I'll give you that. It is relentless. Okay, while we're talking, so after you make your cuts and your punches, I'm realizing too that this one got off. I think you've probably seen. I'm debating whether I could cover that up, or if I want to repunch. I might repunch it, recut it, repunch it. It got off there, but you want to lay it out. Make sure you're happy with where your pieces are, and then I start adhering from this piece. You're going to put it along the edge, and then move your way out, just leaving a little bit of spacing. I've been trying out this jumbo runner. I can't say it's my favorite, but I'm trying. I don't think I'll convert. I think I prefer the little tape runner in my hand, but now I have to use this up.
Are you holding it by the handle?
A lot of times I hold it up here
Yes, you got to hold. I have to grip it up higher.
because I feel like this is like too big. So usually
Yeah.
it depends. I've done it both ways. I know some people love it. I would never say I love it. I'm going to tolerate it until it's gone. You have to tell us in the comments if you're someone that loves it, why do you love it? Maybe I will later in life. I don't know. So I'm just giving myself a little bit of spacing. It doesn't even have to be a full 1/8 of an inch, just enough to see the color. coming between. Overall, though, we did love New York. I love New York. I've been there several times. All the kids love it. Jonah wasn't with us. It was just the younger three. The twins turned 16 while we were there. And Emerson's birthday's next weekend, but she'll be with her friends up on Lake Michigan. They're going to South Haven and Holland. So I don't think there's much of a bar scene up there. It's just kind of a local bar vibe, I'm guessing. But at least she'll be able to order drinks at the waterside restaurants. She'll be 21. Did I say that? You can see how well this navy does pop against there. And then if you're not happy with your spacing, like that one, I'm not very happy with your spacing, you can pick it up. If you are particular too about your spacing, you can also adhere the outside pieces and then work your way in. I'm gonna scoot this one over just a little bit. I'm gonna adhere the other side. And you know you're a scrapbooker when the different options of collections for the New York pictures keep running through my head, and I feel like I'm gonna have too many choices and it's overwhelming. I think the heartfelt noteworthy actually would work. For some of them, I was looking at the colors I think would work. But then like we went to see Great Gatsby and I was like, well, then if I do that, then the 1920s and 30s through the years paper pack would work well for that. We dressed all in black. We went to Buena Vista Social Club, which has more of a Latin vibe. So I'd probably dig out something in my old stash for that. Then Legacy of Love, that demo album, or demo album, the layout I made for tonight, I think would work well for New York pictures. I think sometimes it's really hard to choose, narrow down the choices. Did Legacy of Love have Fast to Fab pages? That didn't, did it?
I don't think so.
I don't think so. And that made me really sad because I was like, I think if they had done a Legacy of Love Fast to Fab page set, that could have been a good base with those neutrals. I really miss our old Fast to Fab concept. Okay. This one is farther. Oh yeah. Remember I said one of them was going to be bigger than the other. This is the one that was short. One of my pieces was
Got it.
short. So now I need to respace this one. Yeah, they did give us a project playbook, so it does give us all those ideas, but I really liked Fast to Fab for vacations. So if you have your cuts appropriate like mine does, you're gonna go pretty much edge to edge. This layout on the left is because I used one sheet of paper, which was a little shorter over there. So that is, now I can fill it with pictures. I'm not gonna make you guys really watch me do this part of it because I have a lot of them. But I was debating about cardstock. So I printed these as 4x3s. I went through, Meg and I have talked about this before. I use the Project Life app, and I'm determined to get most of these on one page, like one layout. So I'll probably end up using some 4x3 peekaboo pockets, but I have a big space here to get all these photos on here. If you want, you can create a large mat or you can use smaller mats like I did on my demo layout for tonight. And then a decorative blade would give you some additional texture if you wanted. I think I might do straight edges with these photos because of the design I have in the pages, just to keep it a little bit calmer. And then I was debating about cardstock matting color. So here's some of the photos. You can see they're kind of dark. It's at a skating rink. I was trying to talk myself into using some Island Waters just because it's not a color I ever choose. I'm like, I don't think I can. It's just too bright. It's too much. And then I thought about the red. I never choose the red, but I got this red print in the middle. Like it's too much red. And so in the end, I think I'm actually might use navy. Megan's typing navy in the chat. Yeah, I think navy will calm it down a little bit. It's going to be a little dark on this blue, but I think overall it's going to work the best to kind of keep the busyness down. Or white. I did think about white too, but I am on cream here. The white might be a little bit too much of a pop against that cream. Craft might be, it wouldn't hurt to think about a color a little darker than cream also. Craft. It is the debate, but I think I'm going to cut these apart and see what I come up with. So I have to admit, I knew I couldn't do this on camera because it's too much. The craft wood matched the wood on the floors, but I think we're going to start with navy and go from there. My stickers are these stickers are white around the edges, so the skates will pop. I didn't think these stickers worked. I don't want to use this checked piece, which someone said looks like houndstooth. I don't think those will be in the mix. And I could maybe use this, have the blast sticker, the let's roll would work. Out of this world would work. The record might, I mean, they probably still use old school. I don't know if they're streaming or they're using their own music. There's no jukebox or anything. But looking at the stickers, there is definitely some brighter colors that can come into it. So the navy, I think, would be good. I did think about black too. Someone mentioned black. I'll play with black versus navy. The navy, I feel like, is kind of would be a black, and it's going to pull out the darkness of this in this print. That's too. So thank you for all the suggestions. I will get this done while Megan does, and then you can see it. And I know she has a baseball game to watch, so we're definitely not going over 60 minutes tonight. So I'm going to give her exactly her 30 minutes.
I'm switching here. I'm probably not going to need 30 minutes for this layout. So you better start chopping those mats for your layout because this is not going to take very long. So I'm Meggan Jax out here in Phoenix, and yeah, it's All-Star game tonight. I will fully admit I'm not 100% sure how I'm going to be able to watch it, only because we don't have any kind of streaming service that gives us things like ESPN and so forth. So I think it's going to be on Fox. I don't know. I've got to find it. So anyway, the layout I'm going to be showing you guys is very, very simple, but hopefully you guys have a chance to experiment with patterns and colors and really see how you can get things to work. So I'm going to go ahead and switch over here to my overhead camera and we'll get started. So I did a layout and the sunshine, sorry, is coming in. I had to shut the blinds there. I did this layout and I look at this and it just makes me like think of like, I don't know, like Miami Vice or something with like the purples and the blacks and the aqua. But that is the color of of Cody's baseball uniform. They were the purple Knights, but they mostly just called them the Knights. I couldn't get the word purple to work on here. I will see if I can maybe work it in. But I've got the purple, I've got the teal, and I've got the black, which were all colors in his uniform. And so because we don't have a lot of baseball options with papers and so forth, when it comes to sports, when it comes to lacrosse, it comes to baseball, I have a tendency just to work with colors. I've got baseball in my pictures. I do have a set of metal dies that give me some sport ball options. And so it works out really well. So if you're not finding the theme that you need, just work with color. That's the biggest recommendation I can mention is just work with color. This purple is out of the Purple Gradients. Their tonal black is out of one of the black and white paper packs that we've had. And then this is, I think this is Robin's Egg. is one of the robin egg colors. It's not quite as green as Island Waters, has a little bit more teal to it, which works well with the uniform. So I am going to, for tonight, I am going to be actually working with some paper out of the Rainbow Gradients. Remember that the Best Hits Rainbow Gradients. I'm working with this green and blue paper. The other side is a really pretty paper. I do like that. But I looked at this, I said, well, that would work fun to have like my strips, my larger strips of paper be out of this. And I am always, always looking for things to be able to do for sports. And this works. We've got, kind of greens would represent grass. The blue, you guys, we're going to go with some lacrosse layouts. So that's what I'm going to do here. I'm going to be chopping this paper up. I'm going to put it on some white cardstock. And then I'm going to be working with the blues and the greens. So I've got some blue cardstock and I think this is leaf green. The leaf green worked a little bit better than the Kelly green. And this green has a little bit more of a yellow undertone to it. And so it picks up that color. If you have this paper and you're like, I don't have leaf green, what do I use? Parakeet Shimmer would work really well. Parakeet has a little bit more of that yellow undertone as compared to the blue of Kelly green. Kelly green definitely has a little more blue undertone to it. You can see here, just wasn't quite the right color, but that the Parakeet Shimmer will look great on there. So yeah, Heather, you're right. The other side would be beautiful, beautiful, beautiful for sunset pictures. So we got this, and just so you guys can see where I'm going with this, these are the type of pictures I get from lacrosse. So we've got kind of green grass. The fields when we play aren't always the best condition, but we have blue uniform in there. So I thought that would be an option. This is actually going to be a layout that I'm going to be making in anticipation of the next season, simply because I've already pretty much scrapbooked all of his last season. So working kind of ahead, looking for the next season coming up, which is going to be nice because this layout does give you a lot of flexibility in terms of how you put your photos on there. It is definitely all about the background. So, I just want to show you because I didn't do it in the original. I did use some peekaboo pockets here to showcase that he got a really good hit one time. You flip it open, I'll have a bunch of journaling here. He's still swinging the bat, and then he is running. I am pretty certain, I can't remember if I did these pictures off of a video or not. I am starting to do more of that where I take video and then grab some still images. So there's some options here with just doing some peekaboo pockets. I probably will have just one layout for Cody for this season. I will put a insert in here. They'll have his team and individual photo, like the team photos that they do. Okay, so we're going to be cutting up our 2 sheets of our designer paper. The thing when you're cutting here is you need to make sure that you turn your paper to the side before you cut. The top edge of your paper should be facing to the side. So I want to go ahead and have my the design going this way so that the strips, this movement will kind of be like back and forth versus up and down. So to do that, I'm going to make sure I cut it. This is the top edge of my paper. We're going to cut a 5-inch strip and 2 2.5-inch strips. So you could cut, it doesn't really matter how you cut them. You'll end up with 2 leftover strips off of each paper. So I'm going to go here at 5 inches. You could use a decorative blade if you want. I wanted this to be a little more streamlined, so I am just doing a straight blade. And we'll repeat that on the next piece, coming in here at 5 inches. Two and a half, and then another one at 2.5. So some easy cuts, some basic strips. And now the next bit I need to kind of figure out, I am not sure if I want to do the blue as my under with the green strips on top, or if I want my green under with the blue strips on top. So, or maybe I said that all backwards. So we're gonna kind of dry fit everything together and see what we think. I am just using cardstock, so it's easy for me to kind of mess around with it a little bit. So I'm going to start off by imagining that, because I think I want to do blue underneath. And you just have to imagine here how this works. I'm pretty certain I'm going to do the blue underneath. And I could do, there is a little bit of a direction to this because of the way that it's almost like brush strokes. So I could do it like flipping them over. So you kind of have this back and forth movement. It's really subtle, but you kind of do have that, that effect there. And you guys are not going to probably be able to see, the blue looks really dark on here. It's definitely more blue than it looks. And then I would come in with the green on top. This blue is way bigger. This piece of blue is bigger than what it needs to be. And then the green would sit on top. Otherwise, I would be coming in with the green and then the blue on top. I think I like the blue underneath. So this paper here, I see somebody asking about it, and the paper that is here is from the Best Hits Rainbow Gradient. Underneath, I say, what do I say? This is a 2.5-inch strip. So I've got a piece of blue cardstock here, and go with 2.5-inch, two 2.5-inch strips of this color. It's going to sit underneath. And I do agree that I was thinking that I liked the idea of matting my photos in the blue simply because I'm going to have a lot of green already in the photos. And I think rather than coming in and matting my photos on the green, I would matte my photos on the blue. And so I think by having the blue underneath, the green popping on top, and then my mattes being in the blue, I think will work really nice. So the blue here that I just trimmed is the 2.5 inches. That's mentioned in step 2, where in the original, I used some black tonal paper, but here I'm going to be using some blue cardstock. I'm going to dry fit it all together. Since I'm working with cardstock, if I need to swap something around before I start fitting it all together, I can definitely do that. So here's how that looks. Now I'm going to go ahead and grab my leaf green, and I'm going to cut some 1/2-inch strips. You could also, if you wanted to, you could punch a narrow. I actually thought about maybe using like zigzag punch to the BMC to give it a little bit more interest here, but I decided I would stick basic. I know that one's a hard one to show being used because, you know, some people have it, but it's been a long time since it's been available, so it may not be really available. I hate making people jealous. I think that's going to work. Oh, Nancy, please don't tell me about the things. It's just because I mean, I'm happy to hear that things, but definitely let's if you guys wouldn't mind, just don't get too crazy with the score on the All-Star game. I am going to try to see if I can find a broadcast of Fox to watch it.
Are you going to start it from the beginning?
Huh?
Are you going to start it from the beginning?
It depends on how I can watch it. I have the MLB app or the MLB whatever their broadcast stuff, so I might be able to watch it on the a replay. I think it started at 4:00 my time, so it should be over by 7, which maybe, I don't know. I'll figure it out. And it may end up being completely spoiled. My luck is I'll see something on social media, and it's not a huge deal. But
So do you have
I do hope
players playing? Is this a mix of players from all the teams?
it's the All-Star. So
I
yeah,
don't know what that means
it's
for baseball.
just like it means for anything else. It's supposed to be the best players.
The mix of players from every team. Okay.
Yes. Yeah. Don't they have all-stars in other sports too? Like
Yes, I've watched
basketball?
basketball. I don't know if baseball could have their own, like, aren't there two leagues? Like, is it league
Yes.
versus league or
Yes, it's American League versus National League.
gotcha. And so which
So
league
it's
are
not Team Caitlin versus whoever.
yeah.
It's and I'm not sure how basketball works, but it's they vote and all this kind of stuff. So oh, Tedra's telling me it started at 5. So my guess is that the broadcast started at 4 o'clock, but the game itself may have started at 5 or something like that. So I will see. Like I said, the challenge I have is we stream things and I cancel my streaming and I cancel regular streaming in the summer because I use it just to watch football in the fall. So anyway, uh this is it. This is what I'm going to do. So now it's time to put it together. How's that layout going there, Tessa? You got those paper things figured out? So let's go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and adhere things in place because spacing does matter on this. So let's go ahead and show you how you can put all your spacing together. And first you're going to put on your outside strips, whatever you're using, and they're going to go on the outside edge of each page. Next, you're going to you'll put your middle piece on, and you want to make sure your background is centered on your cutting mat because you're going to use your cutting mat to help you center this. And it just gets centered. You can mix and match these pieces. I didn't really talk about that, but you can mix and match your stripes. So you can figure out if you're going to use different patterns or so far, and so forth. So but put it in here. So you're going to come up, it's about 3.5 inches from the bottom is where you're going to start. This should be the bottom edge. So that will be centered. And then your next two pieces, they're going to should be 1/2 inch from the bottom and 1/2 inch from the top. That should give you the spacing that you need. Oh yeah, you guys, yes. So baseball, while mostly a US sport, does have a Canadian team, the Blue Jays, the Toronto Blue Jays. And so they have a few players coming. I don't remember. I know Vladdy made it and some other ones, but I'm not sure all who from the Blue Jays. And of course, so I have to tell you guys, this is pretty funny. I'm not sure how many of you guys follow baseball at all, but there is this guy whose name is Cal Raleigh, and he is the catcher for the Mariners, the Seattle Mariners. And they call him the Big Dumper because he has, a larger posterior, I guess, for a gentleman. Anyway, he's been on the Mariners for a little while, but many years ago, when Kevin, my oldest, was first starting to play baseball in Washington for the high school team, they had this auction, right? And so the baseball coach at his high school knew a gentleman named Steven Souza Jr., who was a professional baseball player, but he went to the same high school where my son went, Cascade High School in Everett. And so the coach there, Kevin's high school coach, was friends with Steven Souza. They went to school together. And so Steven would hook him up with MLB signed stuff for for an auction. They had an annual auction for the team, the boosters. And so our very first year at the time, Steven Souza was playing for the D-backs. And so we were there in Washington and we're able to bid on all sorts of signed D-backs stuff. And I mean, it was pretty crazy from the standpoint of nobody else wanted any of it. So we were scooping this stuff up for great prices, right? All sorts of great things. But one of the things that they had was a signed ball by this no name, like rookie catcher for the Mariners, and I didn't even know who this person was. I was asking some other people. I'm like, who is this Cal Raleigh? And they're like, oh, he's supposed to be this up and coming catcher for the Mariners. So I bid on it. I like whatever. It was like $25 or something like that. And I got this signed baseball by Cal Raleigh. It's not authenticated, but we trusted the source. And it's just sitting in a Ziploc bag on top of my husband's dresser. Just this, and so it's kind of funny. As Cal's having a pretty awesome year, he is hitting all these home runs, won the Derby. Pretty, I don't know, amusing story, I guess, for us. Just making sure I'm putting my pieces on, getting them all spaced in, and then it's time now to put my strips on. And these will start about 1/4 of an inch from the outside edge. And then they will be 1/4 inch spacing from each other. So I'm going to start here at 1/4 inch from the outside edge. My blue cardstock is a little long, so I'll have to do a little trimming at the top there. And then each one is, like I said, there's 1/4 inch spacing in between each one. And that should give you a nice even spacing between the 3 pieces that you have. I thought about weaving these. You could weave these pieces like over and under. It's something to play around with. I thought about it. I rejected it for the layouts that I was doing simply because I honestly just wanted a simple layout. I didn't want anything too complex, just something quick and easy. It wasn't even for the fact there was the game tonight. It was more just like, oh my gosh, my mind is fried. And the reality of it is, this is more like the type of stuff that I scrapbook. It's really kind of funny to see some of my, like when I'm left to my own devices, and I'm not worried about trying to teach anything specific or show anything fun and fabulous. My layouts are pretty boring, slightly repetitive. I say they're repetitive, but from the standpoint, I don't scrapbook chronologically, so they get scattered throughout albums. Like these are both sports layouts, but chances are Cody will have a lacrosse album. I don't know that he'll have a baseball album. I'm starting to get this vibe that our baseball years are dwindling. He really likes lacrosse. And as much as you want to be the person that has your kid playing multiple sports, it gets hard. It really gets hard. So, especially when the sports are at the same season. So he's got to find another sport. But here we go. So now you can imagine putting some photos on here. Let me see if I can find some more. Lots of lacrosse photos. I will always have to remember to take horizontal versus vertical, but you can see how they start to fit on here, and they will have mats behind them. So that's the thing here is, I don't know that I necessarily would have had to if I had nice contrast, but I've got a lot kind of going on in this paper versus my original sample where it was just more that tonal purple. Here I definitely have some more pattern to it. So I want to come in with that 4x6. Let me grab, I can actually, because I have plenty of time and I see Tessa is working there. I
can show it when you're done.
Well, I'm going to give you a little bit more time. I'm going to cut some mats real quick so you can kind of get an idea of what this looks like. And then I'll have my mats cut. I am just going to cut some 4x6 mats. The reason I like the 4x6 and then I trim my photos down to size is because I can, efficient use of my paper. I am not wasting anything. And also then it's really easy for me to use peekaboo pockets. So that's really important to me, especially for sports. We have a lot of photos, but I don't want to make 5 million layouts. So you use, well, the original design was set up with all 4x6s and a couple of 4x4s. But what happened was I needed to put the title in there. So I shortened something up to be 4x4s. Or no, I did 4x5s, I think, on that left page. Also doing the 4x6s allows for some of that pattern paper to still show through. I do a lot of mirroring of my layouts. Some of that comes down to just because it's easy, and then there'll be the 4x4s on the side there. If I have any scraps to be able to show you guys that. I don't want to cut a whole other sheet. I need to look through my blue scraps, but you can see I've got some space. But what I did over here is, trying to find a place to put a title. What I did is I came in and I cut those other photos a little bit shorter, and then I had plenty of space to add the title in here. So 4x6 is over here, gives me all these options to be able to peekaboo pocket. That was really important. This photo down here, I did do kind of collage style. I trimmed down other photos to make it work, but I could have done a 4x6 collage. And then I still just pop those in the peekaboo pockets up here at the top, just, trimming some photos down to get everything to work. It did really well. I do want to talk about, because I know we have lots of sports parents here. If you have the little die cut machine where you have to use the metal dies, there is a nice set of sports dies that you can get at scrapbook.com, I think it is. But I've got the lacrosse stick, I've got baseball. But if we get into, my older boy played tennis, and there's a tennis racket and a tennis ball. I'm going to make a bunch of soccer balls and send to Tessa, and, bowling, all sorts of different things in here, hockey with that stuff. So it is a nice little set. I don't necessarily, I know I could cut a bunch on a Cricut or on a Silhouette, but I just liked those. And then what I did is I used the red journal pen to, this has little embossed pieces there. You can see it's going to give you that. And then I just came in and accented those pieces with the my red journal pen. And I was able to use the older blue and the dark blue with the light blue circles. I don't know which sizes those were. It punched, the smaller one punched a nice outline there. So that was perfect. So that's how that layout came together. And yes, I know I saw somebody else ask, and there was somebody who responded. So thank you. This is out of the Rainbow Gradient paper pack. This is what it looks like. You can see all sorts of beautiful prints in there. And this is that one that I used. So worked out really well. There's some other good ones in there. If I really play my cards right, I think I could probably use some of these other ones next year for his next season, which will actually be a great option to have that little bit of continuity. Like this last season, it was a lot of the blue, the black, the white, and so forth. This upcoming season, maybe what I'll do is I'll work in a little bit more of the green, still keep the blue there because that's the team color, but we definitely see a lot of green on the field itself. And so just to help keep add some variety, but still keep that team color, bringing in a neutral color, which would be green because it's the field color. I get really kind of picky with the sports colors, just because you don't want to work in too much of your opponent's colors. I mean, we don't have rivals. I mean, I guess we kind of do. There's a few teams out there that we definitely are rivals with for his rec league. But for the most part, I don't know, it's fun. So that's what I've got for you guys, or what we have for you today. Are you all set, Tessa? You ready to show what you got there? She's nodding her head, but she's still on silent. So, I can't.
Yes.
Okay. Just checking. I'm going to toss it back to Tessa then, and she can wrap this all up and show you her really, I'm sure, lovely, let me see, replace spotlight. There it is.
Okay. I did make a decision on matte color, so that's what I can show. I flip this back down. There we go. So I did ultimately go with cream. It made the most sense. I realized because I printed these 4x3s that they fit perfectly with 4¼ mats within this 4.5-inch strip. So I did cream there. A lot of these are going to be peekaboo. I already pulled those peekaboo ones to the side. I'm debating over here. So if I don't, I could do the big mat like I did on the handout. I did cut my little title bar with the wavy blade. What I don't love is I don't have navy over here yet, although I do have this larger space over here that's blue, so it kind of complements it. If I don't use the big navy mat, these will sit kind of down the row also. So I was debating not using the big mat because they do frame in pretty well. What do you guys think? The only thing is they're not centered totally because they're not horizontal. These are vertical. No big mat. People are saying no big mat. Okay. I was kind of leaning towards that. So I could still have the one cut down here. I chose the wavy blade that I can probably use
So
right on
maybe put,
strips.
I would put a balancing navy on the upper right. And even if you just put some embellishments on it, to me, it just needs to be balanced just a little bit.
Yeah, I have I'm gonna push these down so I can embellish up here. It will balance it out. I'll have the roller skates for sure to put somewhere, and so I can add some navy up there to balance it also. And then I'll get my 4x3 peekaboo. So that was pretty fast. I don't have it glued down yet, but Megan will watch baseball, and I'm gonna turn on Gossip Girl because I've been binging trashy high school dramas because it's set in New York City, and I was in the New York City vibe. We all have our trashy hobbies, right? That's mine currently. So yeah, we're thank you for joining us tonight. To find us again, it will be August. I don't think we have a date yet, probably the second Tuesday or somewhere in roundabouts there. And we are wrapping up summer scrap. If you're in there, we have a week and a half left. Of course, you'll have till mid-August to finish your layouts. And then we're gonna be rolling through into Croptoberfest. We'll be talking about Croptoberfest by the time we get up here in August. I don't think there's anything else to really mention, is there? We'll send the handouts out tomorrow. The Zoom link will come up by morning and YouTube. Yeah, she's on. Yeah, she's ready to tune out. And you could borrow my streaming if you need to. I have like every streaming thing. So if you get
We'll see.
desperate.
I gotta go see what maybe my husband's be able to find it. So we'll see. We'll see what the options are. So
Well, we'll see you guys. I did do the drawings for May and June yesterday. So you'll want to post your handout with the hashtag, and then I'll draw before the August class if we're all lucky for that. So we'll see you all next time.
bye.